Here we are, Fortitude Boxing Club, Jake Wyllie, August 23. You've got a big fight coming up against Youssef Dib, mate. We announced it officially yesterday on behalf of yourself and Steve Dalla and Matchroom Boxing, mate. How does it feel? And good to see you back in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's what dreams are made of. I love the big fights and the big nights of boxing. So, I'm super excited for this fight come August 23 at the Music Hall, which is now, I feel, is my new home stomping ground.
Mate, we last saw you in the ring with George Cambosis March 31st. Obviously, 3 months ago. What have you been up to since then? And how have you dealt with all? Your stocks grew a lot bigger, your name became a lot bigger, and what did you take out of that fight?
Yeah, most definitely. It did, and it all sort of happened, over that 5 to 6 day period. I felt I had a good performance against George, but look, I didn't win the fight, so for me it was just head down, bum up, and straight back into work, and work on my own things, and try not to let too much of that noise get into my head and change things. So yeah, I've just been working, mate, and I'm excited for August 23. Youssef Dib's in my way now, and he's the next man I need to get out of there.
Shout out to Youssef Dib. He's come off a pretty big fight earlier back in the year. Obviously, he fought, I think, again in March as well against Liam Wilson. What do you know about Youssef Dib, that others don't know, and what do you see in this fight that, things that you can expose and that you will overcome?
Yeah, most definitely. I don't want to let too much out of the bag at the moment, but we are working on things and coming up with a game plan to execute it on the night, and I know what I've got to do. It's a fight at the end of the day, so I'm just going to prepare the best I possibly can, and like I always do, I'll come into this fight always fit and hungry and ready to go.
Jake, your career sort of, people don't know, you've had a lot of fights. You've got 19 fights, 17-2, had a loss early in your career, and then obviously the close fight, in the end with George Cambosis, What are you looking to do over the next couple of years, Eddie promised you this thing, and he stuck to his word, and, your next show obviously was Matchroom Boxing, but where do you see yourself, without looking too much over Youssef Dib, but the next couple of years, where do you want to cement yourself in world boxing?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think that, for me right now, I'm looking to come down to lightweight. So, this fight's a super light, which I'm happy for that as well. But, I'd like to see myself get into the world rankings after this fight and get a fight over in the UK and, really put a stampede on my name and, show Australia and the world, what I am capable of. And I think having people like Eddie Hearn behind me and, such a good strong gym here, and, Steve Dalla, my manager, and Luke being my coach, I'd like to think in the next, 18 months, there'll be a world title around my waist. So, that's what I'm heading towards, and that's what I want. And, in the meantime, I just got to fight everyone that's put in front of me and do a job on them and get it out of there and on to the next.
There was some rumours about 5 weeks ago, I was actually overseas, that you might have been fighting Josh Padley. Josh Padley was the guy that took the fight against Shakur Stevenson. The opponent against Shakur pulled out. The Indonesian pulled out against George. Tell us a bit about how this fight happened with Youssef Dib, because really, from the world that we live in, you didn't really call him out, he didn't call you out, shout out to him and his family and his team and the great people you've got here, Steve and Greg and that. How did this come to fruition?
Man, I'm not really even too sure. I think it was a fight that was definitely spoke about, and a fight that I'm interested in, and that I'm looking at. I would love that fight down the track, and this is boxing, and you always have to be ready. And Joshua Padley showed it against Shakur Stevenson, and he was ready and went, was it 9 or 10 rounds with him, on very short notice. And Shakur Stevenson is a very slick boxer, so I think it only makes sense that he and I somewhere in the near future face each other and show who's the real dark horse. And I'd love to be able to get that fight soon.
You speak about going down to 135, Jake. Will this probably be your last fight at 140 before you transition into 135, which I don't think you'll have a problem with?
Yeah, no, most definitely. That's what I'm looking at, and I've been looking at the big stage and sizing myself up against those boys. No, I'm a big super light, but I think there is room to get down, and yeah, I believe I can do it, and I will get there, and I'll get there comfortably. So yeah, for the meantime, I'll keep the muscle on and be fit and strong for this fight, because that's what's at first hand here, and I need to sort this fella out first.
Mate, you're no stranger to sparring anyone or fighting anyone. You've done a bit of sparring in the past with Liam Wilson and that. You know, we've got to talk about the fights that Liam's had twice with Youssef Dib. The first one, which, you know, I thought Liam was winning quite convincingly. Youssef sort of came into the fight. Liam stopped him. The second fight was an absolute cracker here at the South Bank Piazza, presented by No Limit and Ace Boxing. What do you know, have you ever sparred Youssef Dib? You know what I mean? What do you take out of it? You know what I mean? What do you see without giving too much away? And is it something that you draw off that you've done quality rounds with Liam Wilson?
Yeah, look, you know, Liam and I worked together for many years now, and you know, like, we've done plenty of sparring, and you know, sparring, and you know, fight's a fight. So, you know, there is some things that I see in Youssef Dib that, you know, I can critique on and probably do well in this next fight, and use it to my advantage. But you know, I don't want to let too much of that out at the moment. I keep that, you know, sort of to myself, and yeah, I'm just, you know, forever grateful. I've had, you know, plenty of rounds with Liam Wilson and Nathaniel Mann and many top boys over the last sort of 2 to 3 years as I've been here. And you know, you talk about the fight with George Kambosos, and sparring these top boys at good levels. It's brought myself up in levels to, you know, where I am now. You know, without the sparring of those fellas, yeah, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now.
Yeah. Did you take a lot with the Kambosos week? You know, I mean, there's a lot of cameras and, you know, action and all that sort of stuff. And to be honest, you probably hadn't been at, you know, at that level before. But when you came out of the ring that night, you seemed pretty good in the ring after and everything. Mentally, when you went back with your partner and your family and your friends, the last couple of months, you learnt and you've grown a lot from that.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I grew a lot in that week. But in saying that, I liked all of that, and I soaked it all up at the time, and it was good, and I felt like I handled it well.
You
and
did, mate,
I believe, like, I've envisioned these things.
Wow.
You know, going for runs and stuff like that, and selling out, you know, packed arenas or packed stadiums, and you know, all the glitz and glam that come with it. But at the end of the day, it's a fight, and you know, I need to keep knocking these fellas down to get to where I need to get to, and you know, I won't stop until I get there. And I'm a hard worker, and I won't let any of that sort of get in the way. So
yeah, one of the fittest guys, if not the fittest guy, probably for your weight division nearly in the country. You know, right up there with the likes of Glenn Barrow. And obviously George, who suffered a not a very good loss just recently. I want to talk about Dalla. I want to talk about Lukey, Greg. The culture here, the Fortitude. It's a big night.
Yeah.
No pressure. This is it's the Jake Wyllie night. You know what I mean? But this is 40 years of history. 1985, they opened the gym. Shout out to Steve and his partner at the time. They opened a gym, which was the old one there before it obviously tragically got burnt down. But massive night for the boxing club.
Yeah, it's just huge. I mean, you look at this club and you look at, you know, Steve Deller and what Luke Meldon have done, you know, over this time. And they've had champion after champion, Australian champions, fellas that have fought for world titles and lost. You know, we've got Connor Wallace in the gym now, Mariah Turner. You know, big things have happened over the years here, and there's been ups and downs. And Kyabra Street, which I was fortunate enough to be able to fight at when I was about 16 years old.
Really?
And so that was pretty cool. I have been there, and I did fight in that gym. And you know, fast forward, you know, 7-8 years down the track, and here I am now. And to be headlining this card for Fortitude on the 40 years is just like, it's surreal to me, and it's a special night to me. Even though I've been here for 3 years, I feel that, you know, to put myself out there for the 40 years there's going to be a lot of people come out for this show, and I'm telling you now, it will be a sellout.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm forever grateful for this, and my manager Steve Deller is, I'm very grateful to be able to headline this and put on a good fight and on a great card. And Eddie Hearn's coming in on it now, so it's just growing and growing, and you know, it's exciting to see.
What happens if they sell it out too soon on Ticketmaster? For those who are listening in, Ticketmaster is where you get your tickets, tables, you know what I mean, VIPs, ringside. What happens if we sell it out? What's going to happen then? What, we've got to move it? Or Steve will be like, no, you can't move it.
Get a bigger place.
Get a bigger place, take it over to the Piazza.
Yeah.
Talk about when you did transition over here and you moved over here from your old coach and that, you know, I mean, Dallas, he's an incredible human being. You know, he's been around the sport a very, very long time. He's seen it all. How impactful has him and Luke been on your career and personally, you know, outside of the ring?
Yeah, huge. I mean, you know, one of the big decisions for me, coming from Warwick, which is just a small country town, to move to Brisbane and pursue this as a, you know, full-time job was a big move, because I had a great coach in Warwick, in Damien Lawler, and I'm forever grateful for what he did, you know, in my amateur career and early on into my pros. But you know, after that fight with Dana Coolwell at the Gold Coast, it was sort of time to move forward, and I just knew that Fortitude boxing was always going to suit me. Luke and Steve have been together for a very long time. They've had champion after champion, and I think between Luke and Steve, there's not too many fellas that have got too much more knowledge than those two put together. So for me, it was just, I'm all about being comfortable. So when I made the move, I wanted it to be the right move, and the right move straight away. And you know, Steve's got a bit of a country background to him. Luke does a little touch. So you know, I thought we'd gel well early on, and we have. And you know, outside of the gym, we're great mates as well. And when it's time to work, we work. So yeah, I'm forever grateful for both of them.
You were the B side against Cambosis back in March. You're now the A side headlining it, and I've heard, you know, we can't talk about it yet, but there's going to be some big names added to this undercard. You know, we've heard this and that, but what does it mean to you that you're now, this is sort of your show, you're the A side with some other prominent big Australian foxes that are fighting underneath you?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, that fight with Georgia definitely did put a good profile on my name, so you know, I'm going to live up to that, and I'm working hard, and I always work hard. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting for me, it's exciting for the gym, and it's exciting for Australian boxing. It's a big fight for Brisbane, and I think it's a fight, if you ask who would you want to see Jake Wyllie up against, I think Youssef Dib would be right up there. And I'm not taking away anything from Youssef Dib. You know, he's going to come ready to fight. He's from a great gym down there, so
very good.
Yeah, he's going to come in fit and ready to put on a good show. So I'm prepared for that, and you know, I want him that way. I want him to come out and, you know, make it a good fight for everyone. And yeah, so you know, as much as I'm the A side, he's a very, very, very good fighter himself.
Moving on, mate, you're a part of it. You know, Australian boxing is growing and forever just keeps on going in leaps and bounds. You're August 23. I want to talk about someone Sunday week your time. Tim Tszયુ's fighting Fundora in a rematch. Fundora slightly just got him the first time. We all know the cut played a big part. How do you see Tszyu going against Fundora, and what has he got to do to, you know, I know we all know he's had a lot more time to prepare, but you know, as a boxer, you know, you guys see things that we don't. What does Tim Tszyu do to beat Fundora this time?
Oh mate, you know, I think this is a bit of a chip on Tim Tszયુ's shoulder, but you know, he's a real fighter. I like Tim Tszyu and I look up to him, and he's not going to let that fight and what happened in the first fight, you know, take a toll in this second one. He's prepared, he's ready, he's shown himself against Spencer, so yeah, he's going to come in ready for this fight, and he's a real warrior, and he wants to get back at Fundora, so I've got no doubt that Tim will take him to the cleaners and get the job done and do himself and Australia proud. I wish him all the best.
Fantastic. Manny Pacquiao's coming back at 46 years of age. Jake, I hope you're not still fighting at 46, and if you do, you know what I mean, you're an absolute animal. But what do you think of Manny versus Barrios? You know, the old man at 46 going up against the young bull in Barrios. You know, I mean, how do you see that fight going?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I love Manny Pacquiao and his story, but you know, I just think you got to know when the right time it is to hang it up. You know, all the best to Manny Pacquiao, but I think I'd have to lean towards Barrios for this one.
Just recently we had Jai Opetaia, who is just on an absolute tear at the moment. You know, I mean, blasted Squayo out in the 5th round. You know, lots of talk about Jai versus Zerto Ramirez. I don't know if you've kept up with it, but, you know, that's a potential fight. But, you know, Jai right now is really, you know, stamping himself as probably the leading boxer in the country. What does he mean to you, Jake? And if you sort of, you know, what do you take from him? And, you know, how good can this guy be?
Oh, man, I take a lot out of Jai Opetaia. he's got that demeanour and that sense of, you know, kill or be killed attitude, and you know, I love that, and I think that's what fighters need. And he never jumps up and down about, you know, what he's gonna do or what he will do. He just gets in and does the business and does it in the right way, and moves on to the next. And he's another one that's always staying active and staying ready and taking the big fights. So you know, I think a lot of these Aussie boxers need to look up to people like Tim Tszyu and Dry Appetire and take a leaf out of their book, and you know, take these big fights and take the risks and stay active, and you know, big things will come. You know, that's what I'm trying to sort of lean towards, and you know, follow in their footsteps. They're paving the way for the big fights here in Australian boxing. So you know, the people coming up through the ranks like myself, we need to do the same thing. Stay active, and you know, take any fight. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Take it. You get a fight. Your manager offers you a fight. Take it. Take it with both hands and run for it. You shouldn't need these 10 and 12 week fight camps all the time. You have to stay fit and ready, and you know, when the opportunity comes, it'll come. And you know, if you miss that bandwagon, it's pity on you.
So that's something, Jake. Like you know, if and I've got to say that, and I know you say, Nick, I will be, but we look at it as, you know, if you are successful against Youssef Dib, that's something that you want to, at the end of this year and next year, sort of, you know, put me in with that guy.
Exactly.
Take the risk, like Cambosis did.
When I get through Youssef Dib on August 23, you know, I'll be back to work, and you know, I'll be saying to Eddie, well, get me the fight with Padley, or get me a good fighter over in the UK, because I'm going to stay fit and ready, and you know, hopefully before the year's out I can get one over there, or early on in the new year I can get one, because you know, I'm on my way up now. I don't want to, you know, slip now and, you know, get out of shape and, you know, have to get fit again. That's shit.
Spoke about Cambosis taking on Lopez, you know, back in the past, but another one I've got to give a shout out to is Liam Para a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? He got off at the fight with Matthias. Everyone was like, "Oh no, he can't handle him," and it was, he pulled it off, and he did Australia so proud, and obviously, and then fought Hitchens. But he's another guy. I know he's in the same division, but won't be soon when you step down. But he was another guy. Just like, throw me in with him. Did you have a chance to see his recent fight against Navarro and?
Yeah.
And what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I rate Liam Para. He's a very slick southpaw, and you know, that fight with Matthias was unbelievable.
Amazing.
He had you know, half the world against him. You know, he went into his backyard and took him out, and did it in good fashion too. It wasn't, you know, I had that fight, Liam winning the majority of the rounds, and did a good job and shut him down when he needed to, and you know, got the job done, and you know, had that loss against Hitchens. But you know, he's another one. He's gotten back now, and he just did a great performance a couple of weeks ago against Navarro up in Cairns. So you know, he's back and he's on his way to the top again, and you know, looking forward to watching him go. And you never know what happens in the future. We might end up crossing paths as well.
Could be a potential fight. Do you think he'll go up to 47, or he'll stay? Like, I know that was at a catch weight. I don't really know what was going on there, but
yeah,
he went up to 47. Is he too small for 47, or is 40 his real weight? Where do you see him sitting?
I see him at 140. You know, he's a filled out 140. You know, looks his best there and is performing well there, and you know, I think he'll stay there, or yeah.
No worries. Mate, we'll catch up with you as it gets closer, and mate, I just think it's absolutely fantastic, you know what I mean? One, that Mr. Hearn stuck to his word. A lot of people said, "Oh, he won't. Well, he actually did. And mate, you get to showcase your skills in front of your home crowd. I hope all the people come from out in Warwick. And,
I want all the Warwick and all the people from in and around Brisbane get behind me on this one. So, you know, I'm working hard, and you know, I work hard, you know, to put these nights on for you guys, and I'm never in a boring fight. I come to fight. I like to hit, and sometimes get hit too much, but it's always action packed, and you know, I love it, and you know, that's what I work hard towards, is putting on a good performance for you guys.
No worries, and we believe the tickets are already selling very well. So if everyone listening in, Ticketmaster.com, August 23, Wyllie versus Youssef Dib, presented by Fortitude Boxing and Matchroom Boxing. Jake, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it, man.
Boom. Shit, so that was